Okay. Well, pretty confident this is probably our final Politicon YouTube video before the election on Tuesday, but it's not too early to make some observation and hand out some awards. Plenty of people deserve a lot of credit going into election day. I can't tell you how proud I am of the expanded Democratic coalition that runs all the way from Dick Cheney to AOC. And I think all of our brothers and sisters who deeply care and are patriotic about the United States have been very supportive of this coalition. I give a particular shout out to a lot of our Republican friends, like the Cheneys, but there are many more people at the Bulwark, at the Lincoln Project, people that have courageously come out and said, here we stand, we can do no other. The entire fundamental idea of what the United States is at risk, and it is the duty of every person that loves the Constitution and loves the country to step forward. The people that I am most loathsome and the wormiest, slimiest people in this is what I call the truth teller caucus. The people out there that are just such burdened with the obligation to tell the truth. And you see these ass wipes everywhere. You see them in the commentary. You see them in newsrooms. You see columns. You see them on cable TV, and you see it in newscasts. Reporting on the presidential campaign, Vice President Kamala Harris was in Tucson outlining her housing plan to help more Americans have affordable housing. Experts say that the plan is not completely fleshed out and will require more attention to detail, and that base is just a campaign document. And meanwhile, former President Donald Trump was on Tucker Carlson and called for a 9-person firing squad to assassinate former Republican Congressman Liv Cheney of Wyoming. Meanwhile, we're going to a diner in Berks County, Pennsylvania, in Reading, Pennsylvania. We're going to get some wisdom on the ground here from our correspondent who's in the diner in Berks County, Pennsylvania, and blah, 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 blah. All right? President Trump, in his call for arresting his political opponents and using the military to do this. But first, let's talk about polling averages and whether or not the polls are really capturing the essence of the dormant Trump voter that comes out. Like, these are two equal goddamn things, and they cannot help themselves. Or you also have the professional centrists, the people who just have to take a centrist approach, that basically their ideas on each side, and what we need to do is we need to converge in the middle. So let's say Trump wants a 9-person firing squad to execute Liz Cheney. Okay, is the middle position a 4-person firing squad or a 5-person firing squad? Now, that's a very important question because we got to take ideas from both parties and meld them together and come up with sensible, real solutions, like Tip O'Neill having a beer with Ronald Reagan to save Social Security. As if the conversation we have is about the level of benefits or taxation of Social Security benefits. These people are so fucking stupid and so victims of idiotic tunnel vision of what they are and their own exaggerated sense of fairness. You really, it's hard to make the whole thing up. So here, oh my God, we have swing state dynamics here, and we also have a plan. We have a plan to. A former director of national intelligence. Now get this, Dan Coates, who was under Trump, was director of national intelligence over 2 years, was a Republican senator for 20 years. Down the line, conservative Republican who says that it is his belief and other beliefs in high intelligence that Trump is being blackmailed by a foreign adversarial power. But really, we need to talk about housing costs in the United States. Good God Almighty, you actually hear this kind of shit. You actually hear this. Well, I'm talking to the man. I'm here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and we're talking to the person on the street, and we just interviewed him, and says, what is more important in your life, the continuance of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization or the price of eggs? And she reminded us of the wisdom of American people. She said, well, she didn't know what the North Atlantic Treaty Organization was, but she did think eggs were a mite on the high side. This is the kind of shit that you have been treated to this entire cycle. And if this country doesn't make it, I think it will be done in by these professional truth tellers. You know, the kind of people that have to be fair. They have to say, look, James, one side wants to end the Constitution and the other side wants to have different admission standards for state U. As if they're the same thing. As if they're the same thing. And our betters, the people that are responsible for, but my God, do you think that when the civil rights movement was covered, do you think they gave Martin Luther King and Bull Connor the same press? Or did you think the press was judgmental? They said, wait a minute, there's been 400 years of segregation, slavery, Jim Crow laws, and somebody is trying to challenge that. But we have to be fair and say there are people that want to keep this tradition going. And Bull Connor actually is a better family man than Martin Luther King. That would be, or World War II, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Well, come on, we have to admit that Roosevelt was mean to the Japanese. They cut off the oil, and Tojo is a more middle-class back Roosevelt. You got to admit, James, he's a patrician. He was governor of New York. He came from a wealthy family. Yeah, he had a little physical disability, but we just have to cover it down the middle. We can't have a judgment. We cannot express, if we express slavery is wrong, we have to acknowledge that there are many people that we talked to in Mississippi and Louisiana in 1858 that thought that slavery was just nifty. We interviewed a lot of people in Kyoto, and they thought America was being too active in Far Eastern affairs, so they had to go and shoot up a bunch of prisoners on the Bataan Death March. So I just hope that, I think we'll get through this, but I do hope that people that are supposedly telling us what's going on in this country develop the intestinal fortitude, the background, the historical knowledge, the historical sense to know that everything is not fucking equal in this country, and everybody's opinion is not fucking equal. Some people have better, more informed, more just, more humane opinions than other people do, and why the hell don't you go out and fucking report that?